Two deadly explosions bring the Boston Marathon to a chaotic halt, as you know. At the finish line, joy turns to panic and elation becomes confusion and disbelief. After two bomb blasts, the specter of terrorism is once again raised on American soil. Good evening. I'm Dan Ashley. A day of carnage and a day of chaos. Let's get right to the very latest on this breaking story. Authorities tell us the bomber or bombers planted 5 devices, but only 2 went off. 3 people are now dead, including an 8-year-old boy. 144 are hurt, more than a dozen in critical condition. Many victims suffered lower leg injuries and shrapnel wounds. Hospitals are reporting that they were removing ball bearings from the victims, placed in the devices to do maximum damage. One doctor tonight describes what he saw.
Seeing a lot of shrapnel injuries, and obviously it's upsetting to see so many people come in so quickly with bad injuries like that. There have been 29 patients seen here total. 8 are in critical condition, and many of those are very seriously ill.
Among the injured, 12-year-old Aaron Hearn of Martinez. This young man, he suffered shrapnel wounds to his legs. He underwent surgery in Boston, where he'll be in the hospital the next 7 to maybe 10 days. Young Aaron is the son of a runner who apparently just crossed the finish line when the blast happened. These pictures are from his mother's Facebook page. Boston police tonight, of course, are on high alert. The chief says that all officers are working around the clock in 12-hour shifts. Days off are canceled. ABC News reporter Jim Avila now on how Boston's most celebrated event turned into a spectacle of blood and screaming.
2 hours after the winners crossed, 4 hours, 9 minutes into the race, the amateur runners still filling Boston's Boylston Street. 2 rapid-fire explosions at the finish line. Something just blew up. Turning the cherished Boston Marathon into what one hospital official called a war zone.
I had crossed the 26-mile marker, and I saw the first explosion happen, and there was some commotion. I saw fire and smoke, and I didn't know what it was. And then from about me to where that gentleman is standing over there, I literally saw the garbage barrel explode. And I saw the flash, the fire, the smoke, and I just ran as fast as I could.
Cameras were rolling from many angles as the force of the blast actually knocks over at least one of the marathoners. Look again as the force of the blast actually knocks over at least one of the marathoners. Most of the injuries, though, suffered by spectators who came to celebrate the finish.
A bomb went off, and it knocked me to the ground, and then, everybody started running, panicking, and another bomb went off, and then I fell to the ground again. People were running, you were getting trampled.
It was very loud. The ground shook. You could just feel it going down through you. It's just a scary scene.
Right next to the finish line, bleachers filled with spectators, stunned and confused by the first blast, then watch in horror as 50 to 100 yards away, a second explosion. Eyewitnesses say the injured were piled on the sidewalk, severed limbs littering the street, onlookers comforting each other as the violence and chaos engulfed them.
I saw quite a few casualties coming back. I saw one guy with his legs gone at the knees, some ankles and feet missing, shrapnel wounds on people on the sides of the head.
The 2 bombs described by federal authorities as small explosive devices. There was no warning, no advanced specific threats, but paramedics, the National Guard, and Boston police were already on the scene for the marathon security and medics. They sped into action, pronouncing 2 dead almost immediately, and carrying at least 80 injured into the race medical tents before being sent to 6 Boston hospitals. Police at their initial press conference warning downtown Boston to stay calm, but the streets were not safe.
We're recommending to people that they stay home, that if they're in hotels in the area, that they return to their rooms, and that they don't go anyplace and congregate in large crowds. We want to make sure we completely stabilize the situation.
Initial reports of other bombs in the area now discounted by police. And an incident at the JFK Library in Boston, originally connected to the explosions, appears to have been an unrelated mechanical fire. Jim Avila, ABC News, Washington.
Senior White House officials are saying tonight that this deadly bombing is believed to be an act of terrorism. The officials tell ABC News that, quote, when multiple devices go off, that's an act of terrorism. And while President Obama did not use the word terrorism when he addressed the nation earlier today, the message was clear.
We still do not know who did this or why, and people shouldn't jump to conclusions before we have all the facts. But make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of this, and we will find out who did this. We'll find out why they did this. Any responsible individuals, any responsible groups will feel the full weight of justice.
The FBI has taken charge of the investigation into today's bombings in Boston. Authorities are shedding no light on a motive or who may have carried out this attack, and police say they have no suspects in custody. Officials in Washington say there has been no immediate claim of responsibility.